I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the town of Highlands. It is 7 o'clock or slightly thereafter. Please take notice that there has been introduced before the town board of Town of Highlands, Orange County, New York, a law adding a new chapter 132 entitled Noise Control to the Code of Town of Highlands. The purpose and effect of the local laws is to safeguard the right of the residents within the privacy of their activities, exceptions, enforcement provisions, and penalties. An initial public hearing was previously held to receive comments concerning the adoption of the proposed law on October the 14th, and following said public hearing, substantial amendments have been made to said proposed law. Please take further notice that pursuant to Section 20 of the Municipal Home Rule Law, a second public hearing will be held on the aforesaid proposed local law before the Town Board of Town of Highlands at Town Hall, 254 Main Street in the village of Highland Falls at 7 p.m. on December the 9th, at which time all interested parties will be heard. I'll ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, as we did at the last public hearing, I'm going to limit any public comment to 3 minutes. There will be no rebuttals, so if you do your 3 minutes and someone says something you don't like, you're not going to be offered the opportunity to rebut. Anyone have any public comment? No public comment? None? Okay. I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Okay. I need the approval, let's see, I think we have enough of a quorum. I need the approval of the minutes of November 15th. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I'm sorry, Mr. King,
No.
you weren't here, you can't make the motion.
Okay. Which ones was I here then?
Okay, there were just Livesey, Parry, and Sullivan, so, okay.
Motion.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Okay, this one you can.
Okay, then that's the one that I'm talking about.
This is on November 25th.
Yes.
And I have a motion to approve by Mr. King, seconded by,
I can't, I wasn't at that one.
oh, you weren't at that one, seconded by Richard. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Communications, I received a letter from the Orange County IDA, Industrial Development Agency, that on Friday, December the 13th, that's this coming Friday, at 10 a.m. local time at the Senior Center, that's the one on Drew Avenue, as opposed to the one on Main Street. They will conduct a public hearing regarding the Southgate Flats. Attached is a copy of the notice of public hearing. The notice has been submitted to the Times Herald for publication. You are welcome to attend such a hearing, at which time you will have an opportunity to review the project application and present your views, both orally and in writing, with respect to the project. We are providing this notice to you pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 859-A, as the Chief Executive Officer of an affected tax jurisdiction within the project is located. Now, with that little sentence there, Justin, I'm assuming that everyone's invited to the public hearing, no?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Open to the public. Yes, sir.
Good.
That's at 10 o'clock?
Yeah, 10 o'clock on Friday morning. Board liaison reports, starting with Councilman
I'd just like to compliment Pat Patterson and the highway staff for, I think, a great job. The last snowstorm, it's not even winter yet, and they got a chance to get all the equipment out and make sure it's working properly. Maybe having an early snowstorm is a guarantee that we won't have any snow for the rest of the year. I don't think that's likely, but again, just want to thank them for their hard work and keeping things moving. That's all about.
Thank you, sir. Councilman King?
Okay, good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Not a lot from me this week, just wanted to continue to reiterate the wonderful job that the center, led by Ann Molina, is doing, in particular with the senior citizens, in organizing the trips and the variety of programs that makes town of Highlands, if not the best, one of the best in Orange County in terms of the senior program. And that didn't come from me, that came from the Orange County Office of the Aging, who has said that the town of Highlands has one of the best programs in Orange County for senior citizens. So we have made a good decision in terms of giving those responsibilities over to the center with a contract there.
Sure.
And I want to just continue to reiterate how good of a job they're doing. Likewise, the Recreation Department, full steam ahead with the winter programs. So we want to go ahead and thank Aaron and all the many volunteers that go out there and do what they do for our youth. And then lastly, I saw the proposal from the ambulance corps. I think Jeff is probably going to talk about that this evening, so I won't go into details about that, but I am acknowledging that I have read what you've sent. And I got something else. If you tell me this is the last meeting that we'll have before the new year, because that would mean it's my last meeting, and I will say something else later. But
Well, our next meeting is the 23rd.
Oh, see, I got
We'll
enough.
probably use it. It'd be different if it was the 24th, but being it's the 23rd.
23rd?
And we can always call it off if I have nothing, so, but then that would mess you up.
That would mess me up. So I'll wait till then.
All right,
To say my remaining comments. That's all I have.
Rich, I'm going to hold off on you 1 minute. I apologize, I made a mistake. General public comment, is there anybody that has anything they want to bring before the board? I skipped over that.
Regarding the agenda,
Anything on the agenda?
I do have a comment at the.
Or it can be anything. I'm usually pretty easy on that, yes.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, Jim Modlin, Chamber of Commerce. I'd just like to invite the board, invite you all, remind everyone at home that this Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning at the center, we will be doing our 2019 Military Tribute Banner Retirement Ceremony. It'll be an opportunity for all of you who sponsored a banner this year to come to the center at 10 o'clock. And we'll be presenting those to you. They've been cleaned up and they're wrapped and ready to go to be presented. And it starts at 10 o'clock, and then following the ceremony, we'll be having some light refreshments for everyone to honor their loved ones. So just a reminder to everyone for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be there.
And Jim was at a meeting this morning of the chamber, and congratulations on being reelected to your position as president. I purposely left Councilman Sullivan last because he's got kind of a lot to report on if he's going to talk about our meeting this morning on LED lighting.
I'm up.
Yeah, you're up.
So we had a kickoff meeting to the LED lighting project. Kind of started last February when I went to the Association of Towns. We had a New York Power Authority gentleman named Jeff Lano on April the 8th. You can go to YouTube and watch his 31-minute presentation, which was extremely thorough, and I believe it's a very, very good project. So things had to be done, and we had the kickoff meeting today with Matt Christian of Guth DeCanzo Construction Management Corporation, and with Charles Herman of the New York Power Authority. He's like a project manager kind of a guy. I thought it was a great meeting. Took us about an hour to go through it. After it was in, what we have to do now is we are waiting from Orange and Rockland, they're supposed to give it within 90 days, a report on what our current streetlights are worth, because purchasing them is part of this whole process. And don't worry, it's less money than what we're paying now, even for the 7 years that we're building out and paying for it, and up to 15 years, from 7 to 15, which is the life expectancy of an LED light or longer. Those are gravy years where we'll save about $25,000 a year, as opposed to paying $46,000 a year now. Anyway, there's engineering to be done. It's about a 9-month process from what he said. They're gonna be going out, and I think it's basically a 1-for-1. There's 167 streetlights right now. Some people may not want an existing one. Other people may want one. We talked about Dock Park, putting them down there, Brooks's Park, and other places to look at. And after the meeting, it was raining out, but I went with them down next to your restaurant, met at the lot. They weren't interested in going for a walk, though it didn't bother me. And they'll be coming back and they'll contact me because they want us, this will be a very good project. They know the bar is very high in this community and that I have no intentions of being lynched out of town for a bad project. So I'm looking forward to it. If you have anything to add to it, that's my take on the meeting
You
today.
covered it all very well.
The Zoning Board of Appeals, they meet on the third Wednesday of every month. They're open to the public. They'll be meeting on the 18th of December. They have 3 matters on their agenda. One is a public hearing for a project on Dock and Fort Montgomery, Dock Road. One is for where Nicole's used to be, which I believe that public hearing is over and they have to rule on it. And the other one is a possible interpretation. Down at the sewer plant, we have a little bit of money left over. I don't know if I should speak about it. I know that some things happened recently at Dock Park. There's gonna be a couple of cameras down at the sewer plant for the plant and for monitoring Dock Park. Now that there's some nice things down there, in the event of any vandalism, you're gonna be on camera. So that's gonna happen. Hopefully, I don't know if it'll be done before the end of the year, but the money is there for it. We're getting prices and that's gonna be a go. During the month of November, we had 3 inches of rain approximately. The sewer plant averaged 101,000 gallons per day, which is 84% capacity. Which, we've talked about, that's why we're putting all this money into the plant to meet the capacity. Also in the sewer, we've had TAM out inspecting lines. I believe they're done with this phase. I'm awaiting a map. After they're done with the next phase, which will be next year, we're gonna have to put together a little package to go around and fix some of the infiltration problems. And some of the infiltration problems will have to be traced back to what I'm gonna be carefully saying is homeowners or people who are not dumping sanitary sewage into the system. And we'll catch up with them. Tomorrow night, I'm going to go to, if I'm getting my daughter from college tomorrow, if I'm back in time, I'm going to David Hoover and Colin Schmidt's thing tomorrow night in the opioids, and I think it's in the senior center in Monroe Woodbury, if I'm not mistaken. And for the month of October, because I wasn't here last meeting, the building department report. There were 14 permit applications received, 17 permits were issued, 8 COs were issued, 32 building permit inspections, 4 fire safety inspections, 25 advisory notice violation notices were issued, 12 municipal searches, 4 FOIL requests, 69 total number of physical inspections. Nobody likes getting an advisory notice or anything like that. Can I just say that I think it's done some good? I think the communities has some properties that have been cleaned up, and that's my report.
You did miss something on LED lighting, if you would explain the smart technology.
He put me on the spot because I don't know a lot about it. So these lights are going to come with a fuse, and with the smart technology is such that they are set to be at 85%. And they're not just by kilowatts. There's Kelvin involved, which is a temperature scale, and it goes to the brightness, which is determined a little bit differently for LED than it is for other things. Those nodes that will be put on them will allow dimming them. And I think they're like $85 estimate for each light or something like that. I think it's a wonderful piece of work, and that's about as much as I know about it.
No, and that's basically,
Yeah.
in other words, we'll say this gentleman is still in charge. He may have a computer, it may be on his computer, where he's going to see every light in the town of Highlands. And there's a robber running around, we're trying to catch him. You flip all the lights back up to full capacity. It's things like that can be done with the smart technology. Somebody
They'll
that-
know when a light goes out, and within 2 weeks, New York Power Authority will have an agreement with them, will repair it. They'll know that.
Right, yeah. So it was a good meeting, very eventful meeting. Okay, I have a couple of things I just want to bring up myself, and it's more or less like a pat on the back, a congratulations to our highway superintendent, Pat, and the town board for working with him, and our state officials. I'll read off. We have a grant for $65,000 from Senator Larkin for a truck in the highway department. We have a $100,000 grant from Senator Larkin for a storage garage at the highway department. We have a grant for $192,537, again, from Senator Larkin for a new sanitation truck. We have another grant, and when I say grant, I mean this is just money to us, no payback, none of that stuff. We have a grant for a loader and a mezzanine to be built in the highway department garage from then Assemblyman Skoufis. And we have a $125 grant for the dechlorination down at the sewer plant, again from former Assemblyman Skoufis on a grant. So that's a nice work by our state representatives and nice work by Pat and the town board.
Was that last one $125 or $125,000?
Did I say $125? Yeah, $125,000, and that's not going to cover it. The project's going to be about $300,000, but Kelly swears to me we have that money, though. Kelly, do you have anything?
No.
And do you have anything, sir?
I think you're aware of it, but the ambulance reserve fund expenditure.
Yeah, well-
It's not on my copy.
No,
of
it's not on the
but
agenda, no,
That's
but
the only thing I wanted to
remind me
remind
again.
you of.
I have something that the chief, police, Chief Parry, asked me to read. Patrol Officer Callie has successfully completed his police refresher course. It is now on solo patrol. Patrol Officer Megan and Patrol Officer Wood have successfully completed their Phase 2 training, and they are now also on solo patrol. Chief was present at a recent demonstration by the Ring Company, R-I-N-G capitalized, at the Crime Analysis Center, which has an app called Neighbors for all persons involved with Ring security doorbells. We'll bring more information to the community at a later date. He's currently getting ready for the criminal justice reforms, and all officers have attended the training presented by the Orange County District Attorney's Office. The third enforcement period for Stop DWI is on the way and will last until January the 1st, 2020. We will have patrol details out every week. Traffic posts continue on 9W, supplemented by grant overtime. PBA has participated in the No Shave November. They raised $300 and matched $300 for a total of $600 going to the senior center. PBA is also taking part in the community Christmas party with the Fort Montgomery Fire Department to be held on December the 22nd from 12 to 3. PBA is also providing a Christmas for the needy family, maybe even two in the community. PBA has also provided the department with 12 new weapon-mounted flashlights so that all department members now have them. And he ends up by saying it's important that the community recognize the PBA and the work they do for the community. Okay,
I have one thing I forgot.
go ahead.
My favorite body of government in this community is the Fort Montgomery Fire District. I see we have a commissioner sitting here. In New York State, on the second Tuesday in December, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., we vote for commissioners in New York State. That vote will be tomorrow night at the Fort Montgomery Firehouse if you're an eligible voter. Am I correct, John?
And Justin, or did I lose it?
Need copies?
Well, I need you can read it off if you want, the resolution for the noise ordinance.
For the noise ordinance? Certainly. So hopefully before you, otherwise I can hand them out, is a resolution to adopt local law adding a new Chapter 132 entitled Noise Control to the Code of the Town of Highlands.
Do I have a motion to move the resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Was there a second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Roll.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Perry?
Aye.
Supervisor Lucy?
Aye. And did you get the motion and the second? Okay. Thank you. General business. Okay, we have a small decision that we have to make as a board. We've been notified that the fly car, which is 2013 Ford, they are offering the following, because they've totaled it, $13,500. If we want to keep it, they'll take $1,000 out of that $13,500, and we can see if we want to repair it or what we want to do with it. So I'm asking for recommendations from the board as to what to do. I know what I want to do, but
Said it's total.
total, yeah.
So the question is, do we want to keep it and try to repair it?
That's the question, and they'll give us $12,000 towards that. But, Jeff, why don't you speak on that, please? Because I think, what's his name from New Windsor said to stay away from it.
I would say stay away from it.
Yeah,
I would say total it. What I'm told is once those airbags go and the glass is all over, it's no good to us. And we still got to get the radios out of there, and also the radios, get credit for the radios in the 386.
okay. And we don't even know if the frame is bent.
That's correct.
Yeah. So it would be, I'm assuming Jeff's record.
I think the question bears, if we were to do anything with it, what would be the cost to the town to fix it? If they're only going to give us $12,500, what is
Right.
the total cost? So in order to stay away from that, I would say total, like they said, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I concur with that. And so that's what I vote for.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion that we accept the
Just repeat,
$13,500?
totaled $12,500. That's what I'm hearing?
No, $13,500. If we want to keep it, they'll take $1,000 out of that.
Total it, we get $13,500.
And if we want to keep it, we'll get $12,500. And a bunch of headaches.
I'm for totaling.
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Okay. So Leslie, if you would let June know what we decided, and she'll notify Susan Walker at the insurance company. Okay, now, Jeff, would you come back up again? Unless you want to pass it off on somebody else.
That's okay.
Sell us an ambulance.
Okay, so what we want to do, you know about the loaner already. We talked about the new one. So right now it's at, and everybody should have it in front of you, the cost of it and what we have in it. It fits us perfectly, so I'm hoping the board will approve buying this one.
Okay, the cost, I've got a bunch of papers on it.
Yeah, you have, it's a long, drawn-out thing. It gives all the specs and everything.
Yeah, I got the specs.
The
on it.
chassis, the motor, what's in it. It'll take about 2 to 3 months to get it to us. And what they're doing is, they're giving us the loaner for free.
Yes.
And if we want to keep the loaner after that, I don't think everybody knows, but 385 went down again. For the public, 385 went down as we were coming. We got it back Thursday. We ran it all weekend. Sunday, they were coming back from St. Luke's, and it was smoking. Somebody behind them called the police and said that the ambulance was smoking and looked like it was on fire. They called me. Then Kyle called me, told me that it was smoking, so we went down. We parked it outside, did what we had to do. Then we were called back outside, and we noticed that at least 5 to 6 quarts of oil were coming out the front. We called Ryan Falk, and he brought down some speedy drives, and I called Pat and Joe Smallwood, and they said leave it out there, they would get it the next morning, so that's what they did.
And now it went back to...
Now it went back to strictly for, in my opinion, you can't lose that much oil without doing something that you fixed during that time.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I don't think we should be charged, well, the town should be charged for this oil coming out of there.
We'll definitely
and keeping
find
us
that
down.
out.
So Pat said he would check to see what's going on with that and to see why it happened. But we're back down again.
Okay. And I'm looking on this paperwork that I have, and I don't see the price of the new
It
ambulance.
should have been on there.
Jeff, what
170.
year is 385? Roughly.
2010, someplace around 9 or 10.
Actually, I don't see anything I need to sign, do, or anything here.
Oh, did you get any of that paperwork? Yeah, that sign, it should be there.
Was it an agreement or something like that?
Yeah.
It's the first one I sent.
Right, today was just the details on the specifications.
Oh, okay.
Specifications.
Last Friday or last week sometime was the purchase agreement.
Thank you, Justin.
Well, just so the general public knows that we're looking at a 2019 Trauma Hawk Ford 450 Type 3 gas engine. That's $182,650. The Ford fleet discount is $6,150, and other discounts are $5,000, bringing the total price delivered $171,500. And if the board will give me permission to sign the agreement.
I just have a few questions.
Yes, absolutely. That's the guy to talk to.
Inside the bay as is,
Without a doubt.
so it fits inside the existing
Yes.
bay.
Yeah.
We don't have to, won't be outside, we don't have
No.
to change the building to get in
No.
here.
No.
Now, in the last one we bought, we made it very clear to the manufacturer that if it doesn't fit inside, we're not paying.
Oh,
That's
exactly.
their problem.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Tom and I had that conversation, and I made sure that you had told them the last time that if it doesn't fit, then you're taking it back, and we're not paying anything for it.
Right, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yes, it's been, and even Bree and I sat down with them and told them the exact same thing.
And I
So,
think we pay them on delivery, so
Yeah, you pay it as it
money's
goes.
in our pocket.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
he has to have some kind of down payment. I think it's
Yeah,
in there.
there's a resolution
Have a
authorizing
resolution,
the
yeah.
down payment out of the reserve fund.
A few more annoying questions, 'cause I wasn't
They're
here
not
at the last
annoying.
meeting. So, right now with 385 being down,
Yes,
you have 0 ambulance, right? Just a Cornwall ambulance?
that's correct, sir.
They have one down there now?
They have one in our bay.
Okay. What's the delivery expectation on this if we act on this tonight?
No, see,
Three
don't
months,
confuse them because we're getting a loaner. The loaner will be here tomorrow.
Okay. But this ambulance that we're about, the one...
That's the new one.
About 3
And that'll
months.
take about 2 to 3 months.
So the loaner will be here
The loaner will
for
be
free
here for
those
free,
3
as
months.
long as we want it, even up to 5 years until we build up our reserve fund, if we like the loaner.
Okay.
And he has another loaner that's a little newer with less miles on it.
Just
So-
subject to insurance requirements.
Yes,
And while the loaner is here,
Thank you.
presuming we get 385 back, you'll be back in fighting shape and Cornwall won't be there after, is that correct?
That's correct. Just a point of reference where you, last month, I have to get them to Kelly. We only did 36 calls, one of our lowest, but that's not that we want to see anybody sick, but 36 calls last month.
Okay.
Have any more questions? Or anything?
Anything, Rich? Anything?
I'm surprised you can get a loaner for,
I'm sorry?
I'm surprised you can get a loaner for no cost.
This particular company, AEV, they're outstanding, and that's all they do. They do nothing but, and with a lot of companies, a lot of ambulance corps across New York State and further out. They're huge. They have
We're
chassis.
leasing the vehicle to the renter for $0 per week, payable every 30 days.
I'm glad you read that, because that's exactly what it is.
That's good stuff.
Yes.
And they do this as a service because we're buying one from them?
Because they're that good and they have them.
I mean, they
That
have the
too.
capability.
Yes.
But they want you to buy this other one, right? That's the part of the deal.
And he
So
said
if
that.
you weren't buying,
No, I
He
can
would still
honestly
just
tell you,
loan it to
he would give us the loaner and we work out something. He told us that.
okay, interesting.
This gentleman, Tom McCullough, there's no commission in there. There's nothing. He can sell 20 ambulance and there'll be no commission for him. He's straight pay. And he's made that clear to us. And he's actually talked about the other ambulance that we were looking at and didn't degrade anybody. He asked us to check them out. What he has is so much better. They use a 1/4-inch steel in their ambulance. They use 2 inches in AEV. So what happened with our ambulance here wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't seen any of that damage. All across the box and up in the front.
I'm prepared to act.
Okay, I need a motion to allow me to sign the contract for purchasing the ambulance from Specialty Vehicles at the delivered price of $171,500.
I'll make the motion that you sign the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so carried. Now, we have a resolution that goes along with that.
Thank you. Oh, you need me?
What?
Do you still need me?
Dismissed. We have a resolution to authorize the expenditure from the Ambulance Reserve Fund in the amount of $17,150 from the said Capital Reserve Fund to pay a down payment on the new ambulance, which ambulance will cost a total of $171,500 in accordance with the purchase agreement, Specialties, a copy of which is attached to here too. I don't see it attached, but that's okay.
It's that contract that you just
That's-
approved.
Do I have a motion to move the resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Perry,
Aye.
Supervisor Lipson.
Aye. Do we have any other business that I missed or anything?
Did you
Kel?
want to speak about the
Oh, okay, yeah,
backhoe?
yeah. We're spending money like crazy. I'm glad I just told everyone that we got $500,000 in grants coming from our state people, so even though that doesn't go to these. Okay, Pat sent us a little note. I have done research on a replacement backhoe that I would like to move forward with a 5-year lease, which includes the company doing all the repairs, if any, on this piece of equipment. Please see the attached quote and vehicle description. It will be leased under the New Jersey PA. What's the PA? New Jersey.
It's a purchasing authority. It's one of the
Yeah,
organizations.
right. It's one of them
Correct.
piggybacking things.
Yep.
Okay. So, Pat says that we should go along with the 5-year lease and get rid of it at the end of 5 years. So what do you think, guys?
So that'd be the cost at the 14,615.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I may, we, I think during budget time, allowed $35 to replace the Bobcat over 2 years. So this would cut into that and still leave 20,000 left over. And I think it's a good idea. I mean, the one that we're replacing is a 2007. And when we get this front end loader, it would be really nice to use that for the salt, because the engine's not in the front. You know, the salt just eats these things right up, loading them out. So I think it's a good deal.
And actually, it's, back in the 1980s, we bought a case front-end loader that is still being used up there for the salt. It's amazing it's lasted that long, but it's fallen apart, and it absolutely is.
Yeah. It reminds me of my youth. Whenever my father went to buy a piece of machinery, there was new, used, special, and behind the fence. That's a behind the fence machine.
There you go. All right, I'll ask for a motion to allow me to sign the lease agreement for the backhoe.
I'll make the motion that you sign the lease agreement.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Anything else, Kelly?
No, I think that's it.
Anybody else on the board have anything? Is there anyone in the audience that has anything? Public comment? Yes.
General comment.
Sure.
That's not.
Please come up to the, and I know who you are, but the people out there don't.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm glad to be here, and I'm Barbara Minetti, a resident of the town. And I will begin by also thanking DPW. They are truly one of the heroes, not only of me, but my street. We live on one of the steepest inclines, and they are just always on top of things. I go out there and give them a thumbs up all the time when I can, when I see them. They have even gone up our street back, facing backwards, so that the wheels don't spin in the ice. So thank you. And I also want to thank the Free Press, the Town of Highlands, for publishing an article on the situation of the election. And I am going to speak in a totally impromptu manner. Usually I like to think things out in detail, but to me, election fairness is at the foundation of democracy. And voting is a precious responsibility and privilege. To me, it's one of, I was born and raised in the civil rights movement and just learned firsthand the importance of fair elections and voting rights. So I wish I were totally more up to date in actually what has transpired and what the status of things are, but I'm just going to express my concerns. I do not think it is in the interest of the town of Highlands to have an exemption from the Hatch Act. The Hatch Act exists for a reason. It is to ensure that a community, especially a local community, and its elected representatives clearly focus on the interest of the community. Now, West Point and Highland Falls and Fort Montgomery are all one community, actually. We're neighbors. And it's good to have good relations. At the same time, in terms of having elected officials, voters need the assurance that there's not going to be any conflation of interests, any confusion of interest by those they elected. So my own personal position is very, very, very strong on this. There are plenty of capable, willing residents of our community who can step up to the plate without worry about this type of conflict of interest, a risk of a conflict even. The The second issue I am concerned about is if the two people, I think this election, the local election, needs to be declared null and void. At least according to the way I have interpreted the information from the newspaper. And like I said, I wish I had more concrete facts too. I usually like to compare things, compare notes. It seems that this issue was known to the Republican Party before the election. If it was, I think there should have been a disclosure to the public before voting so that they could consider this very important first point that I mentioned about the reason for the Hatch Act. We're talking about full terms, the full term of a board member, which is critical to our community at issue. It's not like an incumbent resigning and choosing for more of a temporary period. A full term of office allows development and continuity of cooperation on the board. And we haven't started yet, so I think even if we need to contact the New York State Board of Elections for help, I realize it's a financial cost, but I think it is critically fair to the voters in this case to choose those who will be in office the next time. Otherwise, voters have been denied the right and the choice to fairly choose who will represent them during this full term of office. Finally, I don't know the status or even where things stand, but if there is a movement toward the board appointing two people to serve, if it comes to that, I think it needs to be taken into consideration that there were other candidates on the ballot who stepped up to the plate, campaigned, to serve. So I guess I could go on, but I guess that's
Okay.
enough. But
Thank you.
anyway, I just feel passionate about the interest, just doing things properly so that, I don't know, the fair elections, and we didn't have a fair election. So that's my feeling.
Thank you, Barbara. Anyone else? Public comment? Olga?
Olga Anderson, Citizens Environmental Advisory Committee. I got to shorten that name. But I did want to say, express my appreciation for the board moving ahead with the LED project. I think that's really a great step forward in terms of leveraging new and existing technology for the benefit of the community. It's more efficient, it saves money, and in the long run, it moves us in the right direction. And I hope the board will continue to take similar actions. There's many, many opportunities in that vein to examine your current state around your energy use and expenses and look at things that save money. And while you're looking at replacing vehicles, I would encourage the board to consider electric vehicles. They've come a long way. They get great mileage nowadays, and there's a lot of funding available to help offset the cost of them. In the long term, I think it's been shown that they are more cost efficient to operate. You can get charging stations at no cost from the state, and so electric vehicles would be something that I think would be another feather in your cap in terms of moving ahead. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Paul Zavik, Fort Montgomery. As we all know, on Thanksgiving, we had a rather large tree come down and took out the power on most of Canterbury Hill. It also blocked the ingress and egress for any potential emergency vehicle. I know I have a truck, I can go down through Corbin Hill. I don't believe a fire engine can make it up there. I don't believe any of the ambulances could make it up. I know, I think it was last year or the year prior, there was a petition brought up in front of the board, and I don't know what the status of it was, to find a new ingress and egress to benefit the citizens up on Canterbury Hill. I know it's a difficult area, and as distasteful as it may be, we may, I would ask the town to explore it and, if necessary, use the eminent domain. Because I think it's, I live in, a lot of neighbors are not in good health, especially one directly below me. And if it's a matter of minutes, saving a life, it's well worth it. So, and I'd also like to thank Mr. King for his service not only to this town, but to this country.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I haven't seen you since high school.
Yeah, I know. I'm sitting looking at you, so I'm having a flashback right now. So good to see you.
Good to see you.
A good flashback.
And Paul, I did get your email, and I haven't answered it because I don't have an answer at this point.
Understood. I figured as much.
But Bob, if I'm not mistaken, we did take down a good number of trees
Yes,
up on
yes.
Canterbury, like 5 or 6 rather large trees.
Oh, about 8
And
or 10.
I'd like to tell stories, so I'm going to tell a story. Back when Paul was young, my father with his D7 and Buddy Anderson cut a road, which comes out right where Jack McCarthy's building his house right now, and went to Franklin Street. You could drive on it at one time. It's way too steep for a fire truck or an ambulance. I'm not going to be specific where. Between Forest Hill Road and the lower portion of Corbin Hill are a few places, or what I'm going to call paper roads. So maybe to get from Forest Hill down to Corbin Hill, and from Corbin Hill down might be something we could look at as time goes on. They'll never be navigable to the average vehicles because it's steep, but maybe for an emergency situation, because when I was chairman of the planning board, I can recall having one meeting, I forget what it was for, a project up there, saying someday if the Indian Point siren blows, I'm going to sit at M&R and watch people get in a fist fight trying to get out of Canterbury Road all in one shot. And when Tommy O'Hearn was supervisor in the 70s, he actually wanted to put a road from where Laf Wyman lived, Miles Lane, is that what that's called? Over to Franklin Street, paralleling it at one time. So these things have been thought of, but never done.
Yeah, when this was brought up the last time, we did, to take a two-pronged shot at it. The trees were the first thing we did, and we got quite a few trees down. Sadly enough, this tree just messed up everything. And then we did look into some way to do it. I know Pat Patterson and I went to the top of Forest Hill and tried to figure a way down to West Point. But when we come in on the other direction, there's all kinds of signs saying keep out live ammo and stuff like that. So we're trying, and as you well know, it's just not easy. It's just not easy.
Well, to finish off on what Rich's comments were, as you know, my father was a local surveyor. I have in his records, there was an old map, I believe, for John Feith, or maybe Feith, I'm not sure which one, that actually showed a road that parallels what Forest Hill Road is now. And it goes all the way from Locust down to, I think it was Cherry Street. It could have been Hemlock.
Any other comment? Anybody? Anything?
Nice job on the noise ordinance, thank you.
You missed it.
I just read it.
Thank you for,
The car stuck on Mount Avenue.
thank you for moving us forward.
I'm very glad to be able to work with you. sir.
Thank you.
A motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for attending.